Greetings, the Astro 30 here yet again with another brand new, hopefully interesting video for you. I've got a kit that just turned up today to build, so I'll just open the bag. It came from China, so I thought it was going to be a bit bigger than this, but turns out not to be. Well, at least it's neatly bagged. I'll give them that. Get rid of the bag. This is an FM radio kit and it uses an RDA5807 FM IC. I don't know how old that IC is, and it's also using a TDA2822 output stage and output IC. And yeah, this is the circuit board here. One of the corners is damaged. Don't know if the PCB material that's broken off is in there. These holes are drilled all over the place. That's for the speaker. You mount the speaker to the PCB. And yeah, I have to solder the RDA5807 IC on myself by hand. It's not even marked as to which way around it goes. There's no instructions by the looks of things. I have no idea where pin 1 is on that. This is really not looking too great, and I didn't get much sleep last night, so I don't know how much I've got to do with how much I'm going to get done, but it looks like that piece of PCB material that's missing the corner is not in there. So great, it's come damaged. It's definitely, there it is. I found it. There's a bit of broken PCB. I may be able to like hot glue that or something a little later. I'll keep that knocking about where I'm not going to lose it. Now, this cost me about $20 odd, something like that. And this is the bag of components, all sitting in the speaker, which is good. Not really. Everything is stuck to the speaker magnet. Screws. And it uses a 3.7 volt rechargeable battery, but I don't have one. But it also accepts a USB input because there's a USB plug in the bag here. And what I'm doing off camera here is I'm trying to separate the components from the speaker, which has got to be the crappiest looking speaker I've ever seen, and I do not see, oh there it is. I was looking for the IC that's got to be soldered on the back of the board. That little bugger right there, so I might actually solder him in first when I can figure out which way around it's supposed to go, because there's no footprint. Even on this side of the board, there's no footprint indicating where pin 1 is. This piece of paper is starting to piss me off. I'm going to have to look at the drawings to see if I can figure out which way around the IC is supposed to go. Right, well, quickly looking at the drawing, well, not the drawing, but the picture, the photo, it goes that way around with pin 1 pointing up towards the switches. That's according to the drawing, of course. So soldering that with a soldering iron is going to be awfully challenging. So I'm not going to be able to film much of that, but what I'm going to attempt to do is I will, get it straight, but I'll tack one of the corner pins first, tack the opposite corner pin, and then probably the other two corner pins opposite them, and then carefully just, solder in between. So flux would help. I don't have any of that on to hand at the moment either, but yeah, I'll get to start by doing that first, and then I can move on to the other components. Sort of that idea. That wasn't too bad to do the corner pins. You got to keep the dwell time on these ICs down fairly short. 1 second per leg would be adequate. I'm currently at 340 degrees Celsius on my soldering iron. How accurate that is, I don't know. And I'm using my magnifying glass and the tool to hold the board, and surprisingly I got the IC straight, which is a bonus. Anyway, I can't really film this part of the process, so I will go about soldering the rest of the leads, and yeah, I'll come back when I've done that. Okay, that wasn't as painful as expected. Just making sure that none of these pins are shorted together, which they don't appear to be, which is good. Fine. It's fine. Let's hope the chips survived the heat that I put into it, but it should be alright. What I would move on to next is probably the resistors. They're all marked on the board here, but there's no component references. Oh my god, but in the photo it does actually show a board with the component markings, values. Oh, this is so annoying. I mean, how are you supposed to assemble this thing when it doesn't come with any instructions, schematic, or anything that you can like reference? How are you supposed to put this bloody thing together? Luckily the listing on eBay actually shows a different version of this circuit board with the actual value markings on it, so it doesn't make it too hard. It also does show the direction of pin 1 for U1, which is off screen here, sorry. The dot is definitely up the top pointing towards the channel button. Anyway, if you get into the kit and you see these and wonder what the hell are they, because they've only got one band on them, black. These are 0 ohm resistors, and one goes in R8, R9, and the other one goes as R7 over here. So that's where those go. I'm not going to film too much of this. It's not really all that exciting. However, the quality of this circuit board is shit, I will say that. The pad, soldering to the pads, the treatment of whatever they've used on this is very cheap, and it's hard to solder to properly. I don't know if it's hassle. But yeah, it's not as good quality as the PCBWay ones are. I mean, it probably cost whoever this kit provider manufactured this wanky thing in the first place, probably got them for, 5 cents a board. That's the resistors done. I might do the 3 inductors now. There's 2 1 microhenries, which are these two here, because they just happen to be still banded together, and there's this 0.1 microhenry that's on its own, so that is L1. So this 0.1 microhenry goes here, and these other two go in L3 and L2. So Y is the crystal, which is somewhere. I'll get to that sort of stuff in just a little moment, but I'll just put these inductors in. Next it'll be time to put the diode in, which is a 1N4007, and this tiny little 3-volt Zener diode Z1. It looks more like a signal diode than it does a Zener, but yeah, I'll just look at that under a microscope and just verify that it's anything else other than a 1N4148. There's no way in heck I'm reading that thing. Not even with a magnifying glass. I'm assuming it's a Zener diode. So that goes in that position there. I'm not really caring about neatness at this point because, well, I'm not really happy with how the board came to me with the corner broken off. Still kind of fuming about that. Make sure to observe the polarity of the bands, or else if you put them in backwards, well, the circuit isn't going to work. One just looks like, the rectifier diode just looks like a simple wrong way voltage protection diode. I'm not liking the solderability of this thing, it's kind of crappy. That would be all the low profile components done though. So next I can move on to, well, I suppose I can put the IC socket in for the RDA5807FP. That seems easy enough. I mean, if I wasn't filming this, an experienced kit builder could probably get this done within like half an hour. Geez, that's a bit how you doing. Kind of all over the place. So let me just fix that up. I didn't really do that properly. That's a bit better. It's not perfect, but it'll do. Okay, I might get rid of this stuff that's just off cut. I just pricked myself with it. Ugh, you bastard. Right. Next it would be probably a good idea to put the crystal in if I could even see that. Right now I can't see the crystal. Well, I can't complete this because the crystal's missing. So that was a complete waste of time. This is not going to work without the crystal, and the crystal is nowhere to be seen. It should be a cylindrical silver thing about the size of this capacitor. Maybe probably the size of that capacitor, but it's not here. It's just not here. This is useless. Right, well, I've contacted the seller because I'm not happy. I requested a full refund. Whether or not that happens is another story. But it's not a great loss. It's a 3.2768 kilohertz crystal, so I can get one from JCar. They're $3.09, nearly $3, so $2.95. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue on with the assembly, I guess. There's not much else I can do really. So I might as well mount all the switches, the input socket, then the rest of the capacitors, and that's about all I can do. And they didn't even supply any cable for the speaker. So yeah, good on yous. So I've calmed down now. I've already had a hissy fit and thrown things around the room. I even slammed this thing on the desk, so I don't know whether that IC survived, but I don't know if I really want to spend any more money on it. But yeah, if I don't get a reply within the next 24 hours from the seller, I am going to leave a negative review. Screw them. So that's one switch, and these tactile switches, there's 4 of them. You can't mess them up, they only mount one way. they mount pointing upwards. So at least these ones stay in the hole. It's so annoying when you buy stuff off of eBay, for instance, or even Amazon, and components are missing. This is the first kit actually that I've bought in many years where a component was missing. It shouldn't happen, but apparently it did. So someone was not paying attention. If you do buy one of these kits, make sure it's the one that's got the actual component values printed on the circuit board. And you don't have to do what I did, which is look at the blasted drawings, I keep calling them drawings, pictures in the item description, because it makes it awfully difficult going backwards and forwards like that. So I might as well put this DC in socket in. Again, you can't mess it up, it only goes one way. Take that one and make sure it's straight, which it is. So yeah, I've had a good look around after I cleaned up all the stuff off the desk from the first part of this video, and yeah, I cannot find the crystal anywhere, so it doesn't exist. So LED 1 and 2, it's marked like a capacitor, so the line side is the cathode being the shortest. So I'll just pop these two LEDs in the correct way around. I'm not sure what the crystal's function is. I think it's part of the crystal oscillator, or it may be part of the filter. I like the IF filter or something. I could always just, you know, after I've finished assembling this, power it up anyway without the crystal installed and see what happens. Probably not much. So that's the LEDs installed. I've already installed two electrolytic capacitors, two 10 microfarad ones. There's three 100 microfarad ones, so they go there. One 2200, that goes there. And a bunch of 104s which go there. It is on the photograph, so I kind of know where I'm going. I was going to save these components rather than wasting them, but and in this case I'm not really caring how high it stands off the board, because yeah, the thing is pretty much, well, useless at this point. And lucky last, that one there. So I'll get about putting the rest of the capacitors on. Might as well pop this IC in before it gets totally damaged and bent pins everywhere. The biggest piece of shit that I have ever come across so far, well, might as well mount this stupid speaker. So not only is it missing a screw, it's missing a crystal. I believe this shorter screw that I've got here is for the antenna, because there's 5 of these nuts. And there's supposed to be 4 of the long screws, and I can't get this screw started. Right, that's that screw started. Right, I don't expect anything to happen, but I've got my power supply set to 3.6 volt, 3.7, something like that. It never makes a very good connection. Right, really? Well, if you want to be like that, I'll just connect directly across the circuit board then. Right, turn it on. I've got a LED. I can hear a hiss out the speaker, so at least I know the audio is working. Yeah, nothing appears to be happening here. Nothing at all. I'm not surprised because it hasn't got a crystal in there. Well, I've got it wired up now. The battery connector is in. I put it on the front and I've soldered the wires on the back, replaced the speaker leads with proper wires. I just used the offcut of these because I had to short them anyway. It's powered up, but yeah, it doesn't do anything obviously without the crystal installed, so yeah, this is kind of at this point useless, although that repair I did on the corner of the PCB seems to be holding up just quite nicely. Yeah, I'm kind of happy with that, although I'm not happy with this stupid kit, but that is what you get when you buy shit off of eBay. So I was looking at the data sheet for the RDA5807 and I was looking at where the crystal oscillator is. Yes, it's 32.768. So I was just wondering what happens if I actually just inject it's supposed to be a square wave of that frequency into the chip. Well, it does work. However, the tuning doesn't appear to make it function. So, am I happy? No, I'm not happy that the crystal's missing. I'm happy that it actually works after all that effort. I just need to put a crystal on it. I can get, as I say, I can get one from JCar. Am I really worried about it right now? No, but it will work. Just the results aren't all that impressive. However, I'm going to leave this video here. I've still not heard back from the seller on eBay. Probably won't. But yeah, I'm going to leave this here. And if you guys enjoyed it, please remember to go down below, comment, rate and subscribe as usual if you haven't done so already. Anyway, this is the Astro 30 saying see ya, have a great day.